wrapped up in your plan. Do you know what it's like to be me? I feel like I'm taken, but I'm technically free. But you want it so bad, so you just keep on telling lies. Do you not see my pain when you look into my eyes?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Morning Coffee with Rick Alexander. Today I want to talk about the perceived limits of your mind. So there's a concept in exercise and it is called the neural governor, and it's something that has been a little bit debated, but essentially the idea of it's not an actual place in your mind, but it's that the survival mechanisms in your brain will only allow you to push so hard in any given endeavor. And that's based on your own survival because it doesn't want to overdo it. And so what researchers are positing is that the neural governor in your brain, the thing that regulates the amount of intensity that you're able to put into a workout, can actually be trained. And the way that it's trained is you actually have to run up against that neural governor to show your body, like, no, it's okay, you can go harder than this, right? And every time you do that, you're slowly expanding your neural governor, and this is something that takes a lot of time. Now, earlier in the year, I had Alex Hutchinson on, who wrote the book Endure. It's a great book, but it's about the murky area in sport where physiology ends and psychology begins, because there's an area there where we can't account for performance, right? Because there are ways to trick your mind in order to perform higher. And so one of the examples that he gave in his book was when he was running in his own endeavor, the person that was clocking him every time he came around the lap told him the wrong time. And so he actually thought he was further ahead than he was. So he thought he was PRing. So then he went ahead and ran even harder. And then once he had actually finished and realized that the person was giving him false times, but that he had PR'd due to the fact that he had thought he was already PRing, that he realized, like, whoa, wait a minute. So the limit was actually in my brain. It wasn't in my body, because then he went on to run those kinds of times consistently throughout the rest of his career. So for him, that was this aha moment of this idea that, well, there's a governor in our brain that's sort of controlling the amount of output we're able to put into exercise. Now, when it comes to your capacity to sort of go big in life, to live larger, to do great things in any endeavor, I believe that there's a sort of neural governor there that is always dictating our intensity, and as such only allows us to put out and to go so hard. So that's like why you have to do CrossFit to get better at CrossFit. You can't like go run 5Ks and go lift separately and then think you're going to be able to go put it together or do a Metcon and then that would work out, because you're running up against that neural governor when you do CrossFit. And so you really have to stress your body. You have to tax yourself in that way. Now, for me, because there's so much we don't know about the mind, and because there's this area where physiology ends and psychology begins, that actually gives you and I a great deal of leeway in our lives to do great things. And the cool part about it is it's actually contingent on us just convincing our own minds that we're actually capable of doing that. So you can take this idea of a neural governor and you can apply it to anything else that you want to do in life. Now, when you go try to do something and it doesn't work out, a lot of times we think, okay, well, shit, that didn't work out, so I got to find a different avenue. But that might not be the case either. The case might be that you need to ram up against that neural governor over and over as you slowly can expand your capability within any certain area. It works in exercise. It works in intellectual endeavors as well. When I started writing, I couldn't just bust out 5,000 words of like deep thought. There's no fucking way. It would be like 200 words would be like the struggle. But you just keep working it and you keep working it. And we always like, I think one of the ways that we think about this in our lives is like the idea of muscle memory. But I like the idea that we can always expand into where we want to be. It just takes effort, and it takes high intensity effort. So to increase your neural governor when it comes to exercise, it's not just about practicing. It's about actually like going as hard as you can over and over and over. And so I think that's where the misconception is in this area. It's like, it's not just about practice. It's about like very focused, intently driven practice. It's about reaching your capacity over and over. Now, when we talk about exercise specifically, that's an area that you have to be sort of careful, because in a lot of ways intensity is earned. And so if you only practice intensity all the time, you're actually going to fuck yourself probably, because you're going to go too hard and you're not working on the other sets of the problem, right? Like aerobic conditioning and muscular endurance and all these different things. Like intensity, it's not always the answer. It's just a really big answer. And so you need to know when you are, like, if you are, let's say, training for CrossFit, like sometimes I'll be working in a strength cycle, or sometimes it's an aerobic capacity cycle. But then sometimes when I'm doing these metcons, when I'm doing these WODs that are 4-time or AMRAPs, all right, this is my time to ram up against that neural governor, because I know every single time I do, I'm going to get a little bit further. Now, you can take any endeavor that you want to do, whether you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, a writer. It literally doesn't matter. You can think about your practice. You should segment it just like you would if you were training for something, because you have certain times in your life where, like, let's say the writing example, where I'm only working on stream of consciousness writing. I'm just trying to excavate thoughts. But then there are other times where I'm really working technique and voice and authorship. And so you have all of these different areas, but whatever that area is, whatever that focus is, I ram up against my capability every single time in that area, knowing that it will slowly expand and I will be able to step into the person that I actually want to be. So this idea of a neural governor can be applied to anything, any endeavor that you want to get better at, in my opinion, so long as the practice is focused enough in that area. So maybe this week, as you kind of look onto what you're doing, whether you're at work or you want to be better in the gym, or wherever, in relationships and hobbies, whatever it is, whatever you are, you're like giving your attention to right now, wherever you're pouring your passion right now, think about the ways that you can sort of max out that capability, with the intention that after you max out, you will have slowly expanded that capability. And as you come back over and over, it might not be a quick process. It might not be an easy process. That can be a misconception a lot of times. People think, well, that's the way, and it's going to be easy. Then you get into it, and it's hard, right? Anybody ever do a 5-minute workout in CrossFit that completely like tears your forearms apart and gives you Fran lung for the next 2 days? It's not easy to ram up against your neural governor, but it is how it's done in a lot of ways. And because there's so much ambiguity between where our physiology ends and our psychology begins, we have a lot of leeway. There's a lot of unexplored territory there where you and I can really, really push up against our capabilities. And so I would just encourage you to do that, and whatever this week brings to you. And I'll talk to you guys later on Morning Coffee.